Oh, you did it. No, you did it. Hold on. Clashing music is kind of crazy. I'm so sorry. In your head. Play another verse. Be a sanctuary. I've been like literally addicted to playing this game. I'm gonna show you how many careers I've done. This is what I'll do. Hold on. We're settings. More settings. Oh! Help! Where's the settings? Okay, now that I okay, options, sounds. Okay, let's just bump that BGM like. There you go. Settings. Oh, okay. Thank God. I was like, please don't reload. Okay, we're gonna restart this song. All right, gamers, let's get it. I'm gonna move me and the dog boy. She in your head. Play another verse. Sanctuary. Okay, let's do it, gamers. We're in here. Oh, I just saw you get on the way. Listen to Blink Gone. Wait, Blink Gone by who? All right, so careers. We're gonna run it through careers. I have 82, but don't worry. I think I can add some more. Yeah. I got some toughness. Okay, I'll just use one. Wait, how does it work? Oh yeah, I can just use one. I bet. So we're starting fresh. We're gonna run a few. Oh, there we go. We're gonna run a few with my queen. With my queen. All hail. What's her name? DAIWA SCARLETT. This is my queen, guys. She is absolutely amazing. Top runner. I know exactly what we gotta do to build her, and she does pretty well. As long as I don't overwork her, she's fine. So let's do it. We're gonna just auto select this bad boy, auto select that bad boy, and then we're just gonna go in. Starting our career, okay? Use someone else to get your missions done. Oh, okay, don't worry, I'll use someone in the future. All right, let's just auto skip this. Don't worry, I will use somebody else. Oh, that's right, I should look at missions. That's right. Okay, so in 11 turns, what we're gonna grind up, speed, stamina, 1 gut, and 1 wit, okay? So let's get started. And I think we'll touch up on some story a little bit later, but don't worry. I know there's a lot of things happening on the screen. I'm just a top player now. We have to get her prepared, okay? The goal is to complete a full 3 years and possibly have her first place for each one. I know it's a hard that's a hard thing to do, because there's some times where I thought she was going to be first place and then she just straight up lost. It was like insane. I was like, what is happening? But anyways, we're just gonna go in and we're gonna figure out what to do here. All these people, these are like stories that happen because you have cards, and I have like support cards. I have and then I have her as well, so she is a card herself. So let's see. I really want to get an SSR, but I only want DAIWA. Oh my god, for the free SSR summon ticket. Oh yes, that's right. Okay, DAIWA, will you come? And I also been saving up for her. Okay, wait. This is where things get a little iffy, okay? The 30 percentile is where I'm like, she just suddenly throws the gun. I don't know. So I'm just gonna like immediately let her rest. Is it broken? She broke. Okay, there we go. 6 turns. So I think here we're gonna use for guts. Okay, we're using guts here. And then we just need, so we're gonna do, she's probably not gonna rest, so we're probably gonna do speed here and then stamina. Quick, 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 go, 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 go. No more yapping. Oh my god. The only thing that I despise is the fact that there are choices. Because sometimes there's only one choice, but then there are like 3 choices or 2 choices. And like, now I actually have to do something. It clicked again. I don't want to do that. Okay, so we're probably going to do... I don't think she will pass this. We need a wit. Ooh, if we do wit, she will not fail. So we don't have to do anything. Oh, that was a W. Okay, so the failure option. We're gonna try for it and we're gonna hope for the best. Oh my god, I always do this. I always do this. Oh my god, I already ruined the run. I would restart right now, but I think she's fine. Who is that? Oh! Activate strength, winning health. Let's do health. Go ahead. Ooh, that's a W. Okay, we wasted some time, but we're gaining it back right now. Okay. Stamina went up. Okay, now it's race day. So this is how it's gonna go. We put all our points into speed, stamina, 1 into guts, and 1 into wit. But those naturally also go up. So we're just gonna grab something to like help her go along. I think the best one. I put on either competitive spirit or nimble, so I think I'll just put nimble for now. Okay, and then we'll come back because we're saving. I mean, I could put on competitive spirit. Actually, I'll just put on both. We're just gonna put on both. Boom, boom. We put on both. I'm gonna try putting on both because usually I just pick one and then I save. So this is her debut. Okay, this is her debut. So this one really matters. Junior year is junior year. What's the middle year? What's the middle year called? I think it's... Oh my god, I don't know. Okay, DAIWA. She is the number one. She's number one. Number one. Number one, number one. There's only good things if you're number one, number one. That means it's an easy win right there. Number one, number one. Can you believe that they put vodka number one in one of my matches earlier? It was fucking bonkers. I'm just like sitting there like, she's in slot 1 and she's the number 1 favorite. That's gotta be cheating. Like, this has to be cheating. But we're just gonna go through this really quickly. Right. Alright, her debut is going well. She's at a pace. I think I'm gonna start trying to run her as a front runner too, because I just want to see how well she does. Did you play my song? What is BLAM? What is that? Is that your song? Because being front runner the whole game does not always optimize that you will win the game. And there she is. She's easing in, easing in, easing in. She's running third, but people are slowly catching up to her. I need her to actually play the game. Okay, we're number 1. And there we go. And she's off and running. Easy win. Let's go. Wait, who's that by? BLAM? BLAM. Who is this by? Oh, what song by them? Okay, so she won. Easy. Easy. Light work. Light work. Okay, now we have to worry about the rest of the game. Okay, this is just a start. So we're gonna try our best to get her. Blink on Bozo. Okay, I'll put it on. Blink on. Blink. I think this is it. I'm gonna add it to queue. All right, it's been added to queue. I think I got the right one. Okay, she made a W start in her debut. There's been a time where she placed 8th place in her debut, and I know it wasn't my fault. Okay, maybe it was my fault because I didn't treat her properly. But at the same time, isn't she kind of ridiculous? Isn't she kind of ridiculous? Okay, so now we're going to 0% failure. Okay, it's July. July is summer. So does that mean we're not doing the summer this year? Okay, so I think we only do summer in the middle of the year. I think that's literally what happens. So we're just gonna automatically rush here, and then we're gonna go for stamina. Shizuka's better. Shizuka. Who's Shizuka? Okay, there we go. Sometimes did it just freeze on me? At some point we gotta do a wit and we gotta do a gut. Silence Shizuka, she's better. Oh. She fell off, okay? After that one race, she fell off, low key. Low key, she only lasts. She has like a great impact at the beginning, but then after that, it's done. I'm not gonna lie, she fell off. I think I know what I have to do. Okay, yeah, we're just gonna rest here because it's October, and then I think after December that starts our what? Our second year. We're just gonna do a guts. Let's just do a guts real quick. One guts. Your mama fell off. No. Your mama fell off. What is Silent Shizuka your favorite now? Bro, I thought you were a vodka lover. Yes? Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Alright, we're gonna rest. After the anime, oh, well, that's different. I'm just talking about in-game. Well, that's different. That's different. I didn't watch the anime yet. You're arguing with someone that hasn't watched the anime. Don't you feel like you're talking to a brick wall right now? We're gonna do one more stamina. So I think this speed is higher. Let's do another, let's do another stamina. Well, I will watch it. I will watch it. I do plan on watching it. My goal is to watch it so much that well, okay, let me finish my K-drama. I'm watching a K-drama, okay? I'm watching a K-drama. Yo, every time I do it, if it's any under 10, like higher than 10, she fails. But I need her to do stamina. Ooh, I need one wit. Ooh, I'm cheating the game. I figured out the system. What, Demon Hunter? No, that's not even a K-drama. That's just a movie. Oh, they want us to race. Oh my god, I gotta waste a day to race. I hate when they do this. I hate when they do this. What do you mean I don't have enough fans? It's cheating. Oh man. Okay, let's go. I'm #1 fave. Okay, we're just gonna skip through the entire race. I do not care where she ends. And she started late. Oh my god, Tokai Teiko. She's catching up though. Alright, let's just get to the end. And she got second place. Who did you second to? To Mimi Cat. Tokai Teiko got 7th place. Okay, that's enough. Alright, next. I need to spend the next. You still did great even though you only got 7th place. Do you really want to be satisfied with just 7th place? Okay, we're just gonna rest. We'll rest. She's normal. Did I ever do that wit? I did do the wit. So we're just gonna bam, stamina. No failures. Boom. Alright, let's look at our skills. I thought I added a competitive spirit already. Oh, does it like happen every game? Oh, I see. I see. We want Pace Chaser. We're not gonna run the frontlining like stuff right now, but we want Pace Chaser. Alright, I'll get Hydrate. We'll get hydrate. I realize hydrate works. It works. It hydrates them. For some reason, they get hydrated in the middle of the race. Number 9. Wait, what? Does that mean I'm 9th favorite? Does that mean my DAIWA is 9th favorite? No, she's 2nd favorite. So who's first? Oh, there it is. It's always her and vodka, bro. It's always her and vodka. Bracket 9. It's always her and vodka racing. Like, I don't get it. Okay, we're 3rd place and vodka is coming up right behind us. That's unfortunate. I see the race playing out right now. Oh my god. You need to use your abilities. Come on, come on, come on, come on. She's not using the ability. Oh my god, she might get 2nd place if she plays as well. But of course she's not playing well. She's gonna let Nisha know flower go in front of her. What an idiot. Alright, that's okay. She deserved that. She deserved that. I need to do another wit. She deserves that. You let Nishino Flower get ahead of you. I get it if you let Vodka get ahead of you because she just does that in the beginning matches. But Nishino Flower, like, how many times are you gonna let her upstage you? Oh my god. Okay, 1 turn and then we have another race. 1 turn. Oh my god, they're telling me to race in my current race, bro. They're telling me to race in my current race, bro. Okay, let's do it. It's gonna be number 2. It does not look good. This does not look good. This does not look good. Thank you for the head pass. Hi, Wolf. Okay, we're favorite, but also El Condor Pasa is in this game. Who else is in this game? I don't see any people that really cause me problems, but then these NPCs actually start racing sometimes. Like, I don't know why they give them such a boost. We're gonna skip to the end. She's 4th place. These NPCs are so annoying. Okay, she's racing ahead. She's 3rd. Okay, and now, oh my god, El Condor Pasa is running. All you have to do is pass them. They're moving really slow. Yeah. There we go. But Condor is right behind. Oh, beautiful finish. Beautiful finish. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Good. I'm proud of you. There we go. There we go. There's my girl. There's my girl. Fuck. Oh my god, I was actually stressed for a second. I was like, what if she doesn't pass? I was actually stressed. Okay, this is her inspiration. She's gonna be inspired. Inspired by girls running, and she's gonna go. Go be inspired. Go be the girl that you were meant to be. Alright, enough of this. Let's keep going. Okay, do we have any first skills? No. Right. Wait, what did she just say? Racing 3 or more turns in a row can be detrimental to your overall. I know that, but you put her in this position. I did not want to make her race. You put her in this. I need you to step up to the gate and I need you to focus, okay? Let me see. She may place well. This is not gonna end well. It's a sunny day though. It's a sunny day though. After this, I'm gonna immediately let her rest. The number 1 favorite. Let me see the runners real quick. Okay, we got Taiki Shuttle, Hishi Amazon. Vodka's in this goddamn race, but after Vodka gets an outfit, like, I don't know, she falls off. Maruzensky is in this fucking race. Nishino Flower, but she fell off. She low-key fell off. Alright, don't worry. We are the number 1 favorite. We're number 1. This is an easy win. I think we're guaranteed to win this one. We're #1 and #1 favorite. I think. No, actually, I lied. We're #1, but we're #3 favorite. I lied. I lied. Okay, competitive spirit. She's off and running, and she's with the first 4, and now she's in the first 2. But that girl is running front, so she's actually doing pretty good. And she fell off. Oh, it might be the fact that she's running 3 races back to back. Let's get to the end. Okay, she's in 3rd. She's trying her best. She's in 3rd, but Martin's Zeta is coming up behind. I don't see Vodka, but Vodka looks like she's trying to break through. Oh my god, we're 2nd. But Vodka might... Oh, this is not going to end well. Oh, yes! Oh, but also Vodka's using her skill. You just gotta go. Just go for it. Just go. Go. Ah! I thought she was going to lose that, bro. I thought she was going to lose that. Holy fucking shit. I thought she was gonna lose that, bro. Oh my god, Sona Banana! Welcome in, sweetie. I hope you're having a wonderful evening. How were you? Please check out my wifey, Sona Banana. She's so cute. Ooh, wait. Oh my god, guys, concert. She deserves this. She fought with her life on the line, okay? Against Michino, Flower, against I think that's Nishi, against Vodka, and she secured the victory. There's nothing but success in your futures, cutie. Oh my god. That's my queen. I am whatever. I'm 100% gonna be a DAIWA SCARLETT fan till the day I die, okay? Till the day I die. Look at my tiara princess. Oh my god. I'm good, how are you? I'm doing wonderful. I'm having fun playing this game. I feel like an actual coach. And me and Vax got addicted immediately. This game is no joke. Honestly, Vax, the way you were talking, I thought you hadn't played this before, but the fact that you spent 10K on this game before this release, like on the Japanese version, is crazy. Yeah. 5K. Oh, okay. 5K. That's me when I was playing Genshin and Love Live. I'm not that big of a... Was it over like a span of time, or was it like how you're spending right now? 1K each time. You are funding the horse waifu, so I'm not gonna be mad at you. You funded the waifu, so I can't. For 2 years? Oh, that's not bad. That just means like, wait, no, that's terrible. I'm thinking, okay, like you spent 1K in 1 year. No. Bro spent like, if you cut that, that's 2,000 a year. 2.5K a year is insane. I need her outfit, bro. I'm very close to getting her outfit. I have 81. I think I'm gonna do a scout and see if I get a rerun of her, because I got one earlier. Okay, we placed very high. We're in the silver brackets now. Let's go. Silver, baby. Let's go. Holy. Okay, so win the Okasha in career. Okay, you got it. So we beat our first 3, so we gotta try. The goal is to try. So you said okay, I'm gonna look at the challenges and I'm gonna see who I should run next, because I'm not interested in anybody besides DAIWA SCARLETT right now. My goal and my drive is to make DAIWA SCARLETT the #1 racer in my whole franchise. Ayu, hello, welcome in, Crypty Cure. I hope you're having a wonderful evening. Happy Monday. How are you? Ayu, hi, hello. Ayumii, how are you, cutie? Oh, thank you. And thank you for the follow. I appreciate you. Hello. Welcome in. I'm cute. No, I'm not cute. Hello, it's a pleasure to meet you. Nice to meet you. Do you want to chill with me while I fish in ZZZ? Oh my god, are you fishing? Has the fishing game come out? And thank you for the hydrate. You're pretty, question mark? Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. We are currently playing Umamusume and we're having so much fun. So thank you for joining us. Oh my god, guys. So I got like this cut on my hands, like the back of my hands. And I was doing my hair today. I was just putting it in like 2 little buns. And I ended up fucking ripping off some skin where this cut is. And it made me so sad. No, I'm doing the first fishing event. You also didn't answer my question. Do I want to chill? I'm gonna do some story, but I can chill with you after I do story. So like when I'm doing some grinding. Does that work? Does that work? Also, when are you downloading this game? Because you're honestly missing out. I know you just started ZZZ, but you're honestly missing out, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Yes? Okay, great. Okay, so let's go. We're gonna finish this career, and then we're gonna do one more career, and this career is actually taking an hour. This one career is taking a fucking hour, bro. Okay, let's go. Actually, no, it's not taking an hour. It's taking about like 30 minutes. Okay, we're doing good. We're doing good. What we started what? Like what? When did I switch? When did I switch? What time was that? I switched. I can't even remember. I'm like trying to look through the chat. There's not much. I'm so sorry. Let me look. I switched at 21:09. Hold on. 21. Ooh, okay. So we've been playing for like 20-ish minutes. Okay. All right. So actually, we're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good. We're doing pretty good. Ooh, I also played your song, by the way. And I just did not remember we played your song. But I think it was nice. I think it was nice. I think it was nice. Let's do wit. So that she can guarantee the fact that she's going to, you know, she's going to make sure she does her skills. And then I think we're going to do some speed. You make debut. Make debut. No. Hands off, Gabriella. Gabriella, hands off, Gabriella. I don't see it. Is it by the same group? Yeah, whose song? I don't know why I thought he was talking about the same group. 4%, easy, light work. Oh, then who's the group by? Or who's the song by? Which group? When are they gonna let the captain of the president of the when are they gonna? Oh, we should stamina to spare. Hold on. I'm begging you. Hands off, Gabriella. Gabriella, hands off, Gabriella, la la. Back off of my fella. Back off of me, la la. 'Cause ooh, you can have anyone else you wanted to. I'm begging you. He sent it. Oh. Oh, you mean actually just make debut? You just mean make debut, bro. Alright, it's playing next. It's playing next. Okay. Yeah, no. I saw it. So instead of clicking it, I just queued it. The 2021 remastered version, right? I think that's the one that's playing. Yeah. Nekomiya mana. Yes, oh my god. Do you love Nekomiya? Okay, let's go. I think... Okay, we're gonna go competitive spirit. Alright, we're going competitive spirit. Alright, bros. She's feeling good. Her energy's low. She has 2 races back to back. Let's see predictions. Outclassed. She's outclassed. She's outclassed. Number 5. All right. What I need you to do, my queen. DAIWA SCARLETT. So what I need you to do, my queen. Okay. I need you to lock the fuck in. Okay. We're locking in. We're locking in. Who do we have to face? Okay, we're number 7. That's so far. Who's number 1? Number 1 favorite is Tokai Teo. And then we got Meijiro Orion. Silent Suzuka is in this race. You know what? It's an automatic loss. All right. Oh my god. Oh my god. Being a pace runner here might have fucked us, but we probably should have went front runner. Oh my god. Oh my god. Guys, we might lose. Oh my god. Okay, but we still are right behind them, so this is not bad. We're like leading the middle. So this is good, this is good. Alright. We're leading the middle, but oh my god. She's running ahead. Oh my god.
そしてその外から行ったのは3番その外並んで当選ジョーダン内から7番その内並んでダイワスカーレットさらにその外からは西アマゾン少し離れて2番西
She's not running with her full energy because she's a pace runner. I should just run her as a front, bro. This is a loss. This is such a loss. Oh my god, she's just falling behind entirely.
ちょっとかかり気味かもしれないです。息を入れるタイミングがあればいいですが。
Okay, wait. Oh, Silent Suzuka is off. She is off and running. Oh, we are fucked. Yes, stamina plus speed, yeah. In the front is good. That's what I'm running on her anyways, so I might as well just have run her in the front. Yep. 12th place? Can we rerun that? They're telling me end my career, bro. They said end your career right here and there. I'm gonna try again. We're gonna try running her front. Oh my god. How am I ass if she's running bad today? She's literally running bad today. How am I ass? How am I ass? Alright, we're just gonna skip through. Okay, we're in the front. Ooh, there it is. But it's not enough. It's not enough. They're right behind her. It's not enough. 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 No. Oh my god, you're about to lose to Meijiro. Oh my god. Oh my god. I gave her the best of the best. Being her trainer can only do so much. I can't run the goddamn race for her. No, you suck. You suck. Me and the twins running to Ayu because she said she'd act like a dummy mommy for the winner. For the winner? Wait, you and the twins? 3rd place is kind of crazy. How do you lose the Meijiro Ryan? You were running front line the whole game. She lacked guts. She's lacking guts. Okay, I'll give her some guts. I'll give her some guts. You don't need to lie. Oh, you what? Wait, what's going on? Explain to me. I'm so confused. Is Twin Wunder? Is Twin Wunder? You want me to be a dummy mommy? Oh, not the cry dragon. Okay, let's let her rest. She's in great condition, but she needs some sleep. Wonder would never want that shit. That's what I was confused about. So who's twins? Da 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 na 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 na. Da da na 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 na. Oh my god, I forgot. I was so stressed about her fucking. Alright, we're just gonna let her rest. We're just gonna rest. Ro prefers getting slapped across the face. Off the face by Foxy and Rope. What the fuck? What the fuck? That's crazy. Alright, we're getting her guts up. Counting 1, 2, 3. Chill, babe. Classic year. Oh, so is it junior, classic, senior? She's just straight gonna fail. Alright. Chill, babe. No! Stay away from my queen! You dirty animal! Stay away from my princess! Hey, let's do some stamina. Let's do some stamina. Needs to have that Jane Doe energy. Either way, I won. Where's my mommy? That dummy mommy Ayu. That's a horse. Of course you know these are horses. Alright, let's do some skills. I guess we're saving. Alright, she's got 2 races back to back. This can only go so well. What? Miyabi or her? Obviously Miyabi, but you can't be taking people you don't care about. You obviously don't care. Alright, we'll put her on pace. Not the... No! 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 Get away from her! Look at all these horses. Take one of them. Take vodka. I think you would like vodka better. Alright, we're second. Get in there. Use your ability. 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 Oh my god. DAIWA SCARLETT though. Just use your ability. Gosh damn. Oh, second place. She's throwing. She's throwing. No, I don't. I'm an amazing trainer. I'm amazing. You suck. Fucking a horse. I need to get out of here. This is my stream and I need to get out of here. I need to skedoodle. Hold on, you know what I want to hear again? I want to hear Gabriella. Gabriella just hit so hard for some reason. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna listen to Gabriella one more time. Oh, I think I'm gonna get like stamina. All right, we'll just hit this one. All right, there we go. Okay, we're off. We're off. We're off. Hold on, I'm grabbing something.
注目の1番人気13番ダイワスカーレッ
人気と実力を兼ね備えた私一押しの馬娘ですね。女王の栄冠をつかむだけの実力は十分に持っていますよ。
Alright, gamers. We are number 13, but I don't know what favorite we are. Because we're falling off, I'm not gonna lie. We're number 1 favorite? Alright, bet. There's no way she's losing this. If you don't win this, I'm banning myself. You know what? That might save me from trouble in the future to ban you. So yeah, just go ahead. Alright, let's go, gamers. Anyways, next time we play, I'll play via chat. I'm gonna take you drifting, twin. I got better at it. Ooh. I think we need to place third. She had a late start. What the fuck? She's literally throwing. Ooh, I got drift and F1 car. What? I'm begging you. Hands off, Gabriella. Okay. Okay. Yes. Okay, don't let her pass you. Don't let her pass you. Don't let her pass you. Oh my god. Oh. Let's go. I never lose. We don't lose, okay? We don't lose around here. No, I think you need to ban yourself. That's right. You're not banning yourself because I'm gonna ban you. Make me mod it out. No balls is crazy. I don't even know who that is, bro. Bro has no idea who you are. This truly. Oh my god, I'm dead. I'm so dead. Okay, gamers, let's go. Training? We're gonna immediately take some rest. And then what are we gonna do? I'm dead. I'm dead. Obviously stamina. Not Naya. Nia Visco VT. I'm still yellow to a lot of people, yeah. That's why her name is still the color yellow. She has yet to change to her new color pink. It's just a killer dream, yeah. Ban yellow, I'm banning her. I'll for real do it. And I'll become president of the crazy. Who is yellow? Who is that? Who did you just ban? Who did you just ban? Oh, she's tired. Alright, we'll get some rest before her race. Because we need her to succeed. Not the wrong yellow twin. Oh, is that just how you talk about people now? You just call them twin? Okay, I see, I see. Oh, let me go back. Oh. That's okay. Even though we're outclassed. Outmanned. Oh, we're just gonna say. Not the. No, you're not allowed to ban Kubu. That's my Kugu Gui. That's my Kugu Gumi. Can I ban Gooey now? We're number 8 favorite. We fell off. We fell off. Okay, where's number 2? We're number 2. We're number 2. There's no way we're losing this. Holy. Oh my god, you see that in the back? Okay, I need you to sprint it out. Go! Go, 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 go! Oh, someone's behind you! Oh shit! She finished just in time! If she didn't finish then, she would have been second place. My queen. That's the thing, she always makes it out in the end, okay? That's my queen right there. How do you guys feel about that? 2 first place back to back. Talking about I'm a bad trainer? I'm a bad trainer? Get the facts straight. Get the facts. Get the facts. Okay? You guys ain't doing these numbers. You ain't doing these numbers. You guys suck. Differing views on the color yellow. Why are we banning peeps? Because they're stinky. Why are you first naming me, bro? Why are you full government naming me? Okay, this is always where I always have trouble, bro. Okay, 13 to the goal. 13 to the goal. Goddess statue. Inspiration. Because you deserve it. Okay. Don't worry, Zenji. No, we're just messing around. We're just goofing around as goofy goobers do, you know. Alright, she's full energy. Back to training. Back to training. Back to training. Alright, let's see what we got. Let's see what we got. Ayumii did the 3rd of England. Why are you my aunt? Ayumii H the 3rd of England is crazy. Early man. Ikuwayo. You my aunt IRL, trust. I'm your aunt IRL. That's so cute. If I was your aunt, I'm beating you with a stick. I'm beating your ass with a stick. Dreamt of it and shit? Ain't no way. That's cute. I'm back to dinner. Dinner, and I never fail to. I'll make the best grilled cheese sandwiches. Chef kiss. Mwah. We love grilled cheese sandwiches over here. Alright, early June. So what we should do? We should run. There we go. We did some running. Alright, then we're gonna rest for late June. And then we're gonna be ready for early July. Oh. Howdy peeps. Hi demonic. You ain't beating me with a stick. You ain't beating me with a stick. It's crazy. Nah, I'm beating you with the stick. It's over. It's over for you. Bam. That's what I'm doing for you. All in the twilight. My bag. Find the light. Casual. La la la. It's magical. Right. There we go. Me, myself, and I. Hand on my chest, I'm flying. Do not beat my no! Whoa. Oh! I'm your aunt! Kugu! Kugu, I can't vibe with this. You just said I'm your aunt. Hey, out. Kugu! Oh shit, what I just did. No. Alright, we're gonna try. Please don't fail. Yes! And on my chest I'm flying. No one can see what I can see. And she's in great condition. Let's go. Alright, what are we adding? Slightly increased velocity on a corner with skilled turning. We'll add this bad boy. And reset. What did I put? Double dog dare me. Let's do this one. Hit that pose, I know that's me. Alright guys. Get your gamers ready. This is the last 2 races. If we can't win this one, we're not gonna win the next one. All right, so we got 2 races back to back. End goal. This is the end of our career. Okay. My Cammy, oh, she abusing people, shaking my head. Yeah, she hitting people, but she prefers hitting on me. Oh my god, base streamer. I get hit with ads and all of a sudden Ayumii. I think we're gonna actually watch this race from the entirety. We are 7th favorite. This is bad. This is bad. Hi, Sunshine Yuri Yuri. Welcome in. Hi. We're skipping the song. Let's go. Okay. Who's first favorite? I gotta check the composition. Oh my god. Special Week is in this game. Vodka is #1 favorite and she's in this game. Special Week is in this game. TM Opera O. Mayano Top Gun is in this game. Yo, I lost a couple games to that bitch. Tokai Teo is in this game. Bro, we're fucked. Super Creek is in this game. Oh my god, guys. It's the 10 no show. 10 no show. G1. Yo, it's stacked, bro. I would say thank god Silent Suzuka's not here, but I feel like she would give us a chance to breathe. We straight gonna lose. We're straight losing. Holy shit. All eyes are on the Oka show Victor. All right. DAIWA SCARLETT though. All right, we're off and running. Okay, we have a good start. We're at 3rd place. All right, we're moving in. We're closing in. We're 4th, but that's all right because we got front runners like Mayano Top Gun. Vodka is in the back. Now we're 8th. Oh, this is bad. Okay, we're slowly making our way up. She's like slowly. She's right by Super Creek. I mean, Special Week. We made our way to 5th place. She's moving in between 5th and 6th place, but she's on the outer edges, so this is where the problem lies. Alright, girls, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. DAIWA SCARLETT! DAIWA SCARLETT! Okay, we're still 5th place. We're about to hit the 600 meters. Alright, she's in the top brass, so this is good. This is good. She's keeping herself at a good pace. This is good. This is good. This is good. We've beat the 600. Alright, Mayano Top Gun is off and running. People are zooming. Okay, she's in 5th place, but she's not gonna let us stop her. I hope. She's 4th place. She's picking up speed. She's picking up speed. She's not picking up speed. She's not picking. Go, go, go. Go, 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 go. No, she's not winning. She's not even gonna get 1st or 2nd. Mayano Top Gun. Oh, we got 3rd place. Why you didn't use your ability? Why you didn't use your ability? Why you didn't use your ability? I guess I gotta try again. Should I try a front runner? We're gonna try front runner. We're gonna try front runner. I feel like we're gonna come across a special week as a problem this time of the game. My auto top gun caused me problems 2 careers ago. I was doing some careers and she caused me a lot of problems. This is bad. This is bad. This is bad, this is bad. Okay, I'm making her a front runner this game. So she's starting on the inner side. You know what? She was also starting on the outer side last game. But special week is right behind us, so this is bad. Alright, we are in the front of the game.
先頭はダイワスカーレット単身で飛ばして行きます。2番手の位置で先頭を伺うのは3番向こう上面に入って先頭はダイワスカーレット。さあ花に立ったのはダイワスカーレット。
Okay, DAIWA SCARLETT. Let's go. Let's go.
続きました3番1馬身差5番1馬身離れてスペシャルウィークそして
It doesn't look too bad.
それを見るように東海帝を1番並びかけてきた少し離れてスーパ
But
ー
we've
ウィ
been
ーク
holding
そ
it.
してその後方にはマヤのトップが内から13番さらに8番外ウォッカ内の方から10番16番外から
Okay.
さらには TM オペラをそしてその内を回って
Okay.
11番並んできた
Thank you for the check-in Maestro. Oh! Did she use her ability too early? Oh my god! Was this the right move? No! Why did she use her ability there? Oh my god! Oh my god! Go. They're closing in on you. They're closing in on you. Do not stop. Okay. Special week. Oh my god, I see vodka. No. Oh my god. Why did she use her ability in the middle of the game? My MHA Sports Fest vibes. Oh god, truly. Why did she use her ability in the middle of the... Oh my god. Second place is what you deserve for that nonsense. Second place is what you deserve for that nonsense. We're trying again. I think front was good. But we need her to stop the shenanigans, okay? You need to lock the fucking... This is your last chance. This is your last fucking chance. I swear, actually, why the fuck do you always stream when I'm going to sleep? I've been live for an hour and 30 minutes. That means you're late? Okay? How am I fucking up your sleep schedule? You could have been hanging out with me for a whole hour. I've been live for a whole hour. Where were you? What are you doing? Taking a shit? Hi, Between. Also, hi, Disorient. I just got the X notif. No way. I've been live for an hour. I've been live for an hour and a half, bros. I've been trying to sleep for an hour. Oh my... Oh, so is that what you do? Is that what you do? You scroll the webs and then you see me live every time you're trying to go to sleep? For real, I was mad when I missed a whole hour. Oh, I'm sorry. You actually missed some really good content, I'm not gonna lie. We've been over here trying to make this. I'm getting drops for this game. So with these races, are you facing against AI or are you facing real people? I'm facing AI at the current. Currently, I'm facing AI. But it's all based upon stats that each character has built. Like they naturally build. So I'm also training my girl to try and win the game. So we're all trying to compete. It's a pretty technical type of thing, Zenji. Life for an hour and haven't tried taking a nap and trying again. No! I will not. I will not. Oh my god, she's off to a slow start. She's got 2 Ps behind her. She's having trouble keeping this girl behind her.
ハイペースで流れる展開もありえますね。
Okay, as long as she doesn't use her ability mid-game. Please, 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 please. You need to know when to use your ability. And if using your ability towards the 400-meter time period is not an understate, that needs to be something you do. Okay? You can't just use it because you want to. She should not use her ability before she hits this line. You see this line right here? She should never hit her ability before she hits this line. The latest I want her to hit her ability is like right here. Okay, okay, okay. She's using. Okay, okay. This might be our last chance to get first place, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, 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 please. This is the best time to use your fucking ability. Special week, vodka toka tail. Yes. Yeah. Vodka is just too fast, brother. Alright, you need to say a wild statement so I can have my fill of you for the week. Somebody wants to have sex with the cow. I mean, with the horse. Oh God, I'm so sorry. Oh, welcome in, Slipknot guy. I hope you're having a wonderful evening. How are you? You didn't hear anything I said, right? How are you doing? I'm doing wonderful. I lost. I lost. Oh my God, bros. Oh my God. Like what? What? All right, we'll complete this career. It works. I'm gonna sleep now. Good night, between. Are you losing? Yes. Oh my God. I'm doing wonderful though, Slipknot. Welcome in. Welcome in. Happy Monday. We are doing some I thought I was gonna have time to do 2. I thought I was gonna have time to do 2, but I only had time to do 1. All right. No. How did she lose if she used her ability? Because that's just how fast that other racer was. They were saved, so they're a late starter, right? Vodka is a late starter racer. They save their stamina till the end of the race, and then that's when they run off. That's when they speed off and try to run and win the race, you know? So you save all their stamina. But I had her front running, which I had no choice to, because that's the only way we could get her anywhere remotely close to even trying to get first place. And even though she was a front runner, she ended up losing anyways. She lost at the last final moments, but that's okay. All right, let's edit our team. Glad you're doing good. Thank you. Don't worry, I won't say anything. You know what? I like it. I like someone who understands the vibe when they come in. I love that. I so love that. Okay, Vac says I should go look. So we're gonna run one more career. Oh no, confirm this. We're gonna leave that. All right, we're gonna run one more career. I think we have time to do one more career. We've been playing for about 30. Okay, yeah, I think we have time for one more career. We're gonna try New Girl, okay? Vac says I should look at the... Hold on, let me go home. Special missions. I'm gonna look at the missions to see who I need to do. Is it this one? Collect. There's like a ticket. Ooh, this one. 3-star guarantee. Complete all day 1 through day 7 special missions. Okay. Place top 3 in Japanese career. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna try to do one of these. Oh, wait. Ooh, so I have to do all of these. Okay. Heart. Okay, let's do the first one. We're gonna do the first one. Complete all day 1 through day 7 special missions. Part 1, day 1. Raise and Usame's potential level. How do I raise their level? All right, let's see what we can do. We're gonna try to raise their level. No, I swear it's enhanced. Okay, trainee, potential levels. Let's see. Raise potential level. Ooh, there we go. There we go. I raised her potential level. Rudolph is my fave, lol. I have half the stuff unlocked for her. Oh, fuck yes. Good job. So you have been playing, Jason. Okay. So you have been playing. Okay. Vodka, Urara, and someone else is in the missions. Okay, so I need Vodka, Urara, and okay. I think, is this Urara? No, this is gold. Hold on. Who do we have? Trainees? Who is this? This is Gold Ship, Vodka, Scarlet, Grass Wonder. Did they even give us Urara or Vodka? Do I have to try and get Urara? Said what I said. I'd rather be famous instead. Bro, they don't give us Urara. Oh, Haru Urara. Oh, I gotta run with her. Okay, she looks cute. Okay, she works best in a sprint. Ooh, she works late. And she works best in the dirt. Okay. Time to go pull. Oh, no, I got one. But it's only a 1 star, though. I only got a 1 star for her, bro. I have 2,000. I could do 1 pull. But should I save? I have one. I used her at 1 star. Okay, then I'll just use her at 1 star. Okay, we're gonna go do... let's see. Hold on. I have magical foresight. Foresight. 10 more times. Oh. I bet you know where. Oh. Do I have to complete all of these? Damn. Okay. Place top 3 in the... I said what I said. Famous instead. Alright, play date part 1. Day 2, complete a career playthrough with Vodka gaining 5,000 more fans. Okay, we're gonna do Vodka. We're gonna do Vodka. We just need to get 5,000 fans, right? Alright, easy, light work. I'm so sorry, sweetie, but I gotta go. I gotta get and see if I can get your 3-star version, okay? So we're gonna run Vodka for this next one. Sorry, we're gonna run Vodka. Alright, next. Auto selects. Nice. Alright, we're starting a career. Yes, sir. Alright, boys, wish me good luck. I saw for Vodka, she needs... it definitely works if you get... For Vodka, you need power. So, stamina, speed, power. You know, you need guts for DAIWA, you need guts, but for her, you need power. Hi, Yori. Focus the completed career with blank because the race requirements usually aligned. Okay, back. Hi, welcome in. I said what I said. Pre-debut. We gotta get ready for her pre-debut. Banner swaps in 3 days. Yeah, I'll wait. I'll wait for the next banner. I'll wait for the next banner. Better to save up. Alright, boys, let's get her done. We're gonna run our first career. We need to just make 5,000 fans. We don't gotta go very far. I think what we're gonna do, we're gonna run a quick one with Vodka, and then we gotta do, and then I'll run one with Urara. So we'll try to do that in the next, what, 20 minutes? 20? I'm trying to get Ura win for Gold Ship. I'm on the finals now. Good luck! Oh my god. I was literally just trying to do that with DAIWA. We didn't do too bad though. She won 2nd place. I've been getting better and understanding what she needs. So yeah, she needs power. So we're just gonna rest right here. So we're gonna run a power stamina. We're gonna run some power. We need some power, baby. We need some power. She's got to be able to break through the competition. All right, let's do it. All right, we're going to do some power. Nice. We're going to do some power. We're going to do some power. Then we're going to do some stamina. Don't worry, we're running through this bad boy. Did you end up doing some research? Oh, no, I played Vodka a little bit, and then they were like, oh, she didn't win because she didn't have any power, and I was like, oh, well, thanks for telling me. Now I just gotta add some power to her growth. So that's where my mind is at now. So no, I haven't done any research. I have not done any research yet. Oh, I might lose here. She actually succeeded. All right, we're gonna rest, we're gonna do guts, and then we're gonna do speed. Sorry, we're gonna do power, then we're gonna do speed. So we're gonna do power, and then we're gonna do speed. Okay, and then, oops, I almost threw the game. Okay, yeah, she's a late surger. She wants a lot of power to be able to accelerate and break through. Fire, yeah, the game told me. The game told me, so that was nice. If I have one more turn, okay, no, we're good. All right, so she is a late surger. So we got Outswell. All right, let's get started. All right, this is easy. This is number 1. Oh my god, still waiting to hang out. Hi. I haven't even opened ZZZ yet. Okay, we're a late runner, so let's get to it. This is the first debut race, so I have nothing to worry about. I just have to get her to getting 5,000 fans. So I just have to cater her and make sure she's good, and then we'll be good. All right, let's get it. We're just gonna skip through the beginning phases, and then we're just gonna go right in. Boom. Boom. And there it is. Of course you won. Of course you won. I set you up for perfect victory, baby girl. All right, next. Let's get on with year 1. She is now a junior. All right, this is when her and DAIWA's beef starts. Don't worry, at some point I'm going to start reading through the story. It's funny you're running vodka now since she's like DAIWA Scarlett's biggest rival. I know, it's so heartbreaking, bro. It's so heartbreaking. I have to see my baby girl on the other side of the team. All right, we're just gonna immediately rest. So maybe I'll put some more power in then. I'll do 2 powers in these 2 days, in these 10 days. And I'll make sure her stamina and her speed are up. So we're gonna do power. Then we're gonna do... I need you to go quick. Go quick. This is no time to wait. Oh my god. My game freezes up sometimes. It's so annoying. Alright, there we go. It's unfrozen now. It's probably because I click. Sometimes I click stuff. Alright, let's get some speed in there. And then we're gonna get some stamina. I should have done stamina first, but she seems pretty good, unlike my baby girl. Ooh, there we go. Story, but they never tell my side. Okay, those are our 2 powers, so everything else is gonna be stamina. I'm gonna do 2 staminas. We're gonna rest. Stamina. Oh wait, no, 5% failure. Do it. Run it. Run that bad boy. Run it. Supposedly, the owner of DAIWA Scarlett wanted her to have bigger badonkas than vodka, or else they wouldn't give them the rights to their likeness. No, wait. You know what? W. Fucking W. That's my baby girl. That's right. That's right. That is actually hilarious. Alright, I was about to say down with vodka, but I'm actually needing her to play the game, so this is unfortunate. It'd be bad if she went down. I wouldn't get my 3-star. My guaranteed 3-star. Race! Alright, go for it. Big mad, I'm the big boss. Talk a big game, take a big loss. Growing up was a problem that they didn't solve. I'm the piece that wouldn't fit inside the jigsaw. I got a lot of punchlines and a quick jab. I like vodka though, don't worry. She's cool. I'm just kidding. I'm just a diehard DAIWA Scarlett. That's all. So I like talking shit about other people just for funsies. Don't worry. I never mean anything I say. Because who knows, I might turn around and be like, wow, vodka is suddenly super cool. Alright, she won. that you fall hard, playing for the death of a rock star. No more races. All right, no more races. Entry criteria met. No more races. 2 turns. Okay, we're gonna do stamina and then we're gonna do speed. All right, let's do stamina. We can't rest, so we're gonna have to pray and hope that she does the speed properly. 57% failure, but she got this. She got this. She got this. Long always a bully. It's okay, you're so great. Aw, Casey, you're so sweet. What do you mean I'm a bully? What do you mean I'm a bully? What? All right, we don't have anything for her, so we're just gonna save up and we're just gonna go for the race. All right, predictions. She is a contender. Damn. That means I can race. I can play in the race, bro. I can play in the race. We all know you're a bully. You can't hide it. Nah, let's go. Got a B+ with gold ship. Let's fucking go. Let's go. All right, we're just going in the race and we're just going for it. Thank you for the check-in, Highland. How are you? Of course we had a late start. Okay, we got 2nd place. Good enough. Nishino Flower. Oh my god. Victory was close, but the results will serve as a good experience for the next race. Oh yeah, I feel like this race you're just guaranteed to lose. Yeah, it's supposed to be a loss to like get you ready for the year. I just feel like, because like it always loses. Like it never wins. Like I don't get it. Hello, stopping in and saying hi. Hi. Nishio Fowler do be a run ender low-key. Damn. That's alright. We tried. Alright, we're just gonna let her rest. Stamina. Stamina. What is it called? Speed, stamina, you know? Thank you for that, That's Kingsy. I appreciate you. Oh, that feels so nice. Ah, chicken on the na 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 na. Pace strategy. Oh, she's gonna fail. Oh, I gotta let her sleep. This is unfortunate. All right, there we go. W sleep. Stamina. Hi there, Kose. Hi, how's stream been? We've been having a lot of fun. We're playing the good game. We're playing the horse girls. We're trying to get 5,000 fans for our vodka. Alright, it's race day. How many fans do we have? Oh, we got 6,000. Okay, so we can quit after this. But I'm gonna see how far we can get. Alright, we are a late surger. A mile. But I'm just chilling. I'm uptown, my Tyson. How's work treating you? Alright, get in there. Nice. Yeah, this game is so fun. Oh my god. I think you would like it. Even though it's a gacha. It takes thinking. It's very nice. It's very nice. I'm addicted. I am addicted. I am addicted. Alright, we're gonna race. Nah. Been good. That's good. Did you get to do the thing you were talking about earlier? Or how did that go? Alright, she got 2nd again, bro. She got 2nd again. Bro! She got 2nd to DAIWA's. Oh my god! Vodka, I'm gonna need you to lock in. Like, she's not locking in. Like, what the fuck? Bummer, but whatever. Oh, I'm sorry. Nah, okay. She just lost to DAIWA SCARLETT, bro. She lost to the queen. Alright, gotta place top 5 in the tulip. Alright. 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 1 to reach the goal. Damn, we're right here. Okay, what should we do? I think we're gonna do speed, bro. I think our speed should truly be higher. I think we have enough power, not gonna lie. All right. Oh, we're froze. I don't know. It might game be freezing. All right, race day. Ikoyo! Yeah! All right, let's go. Wait, predictions. Average ability is crazy. I thought we did pretty good. All right, we're gonna... Let me see if there's any skills we could add. I only have 92 anyways. All right, we're racing. We got 2 races back to back, bros. 2 races back to back. This is bad. This is terrible. Say it louder. Oh my god. Let us in! Let us in! Vodka, you will be the top contender. You will be the top contender. I know it. Skip! Oh my god, Maru is in this race. And so is DAIWA. What the heck? Yo! Yo, Vodka's not breaking through at all! Oh, wait, there it is, there it is. What did she accelerate for? Accelerate for 7th place? Agu, you will never guess the pizza I ordered. Is it pineapple pizza? Yeah, she was strictly boxed in, brother. Alright, that's okay. We are going to end the career because we got more than enough. Yeah, your trainee had trouble breaking out from traffic. More power could help with that. I actually thought she had too much power. That's fine. Okay, more power. So actually probably... So I think I need... So what should we not grind for? Should it be, what? Power and stamina? And then a little bit of speed instead of a little bit of power? It seems like she needs power. But anyways, yeah, we're just gonna skedoodle out of here. We're just ending this career right there. Jab! End that career. That's one of the things on it. Okay, so is there also mushrooms, black olives, what else? If you can get navigation skills, it helps a lot. Wait, what's navigation skills? Oh, so she can navigate her way through. You got the mushrooms. Okay, so there's mushrooms, there's pineapple. Is there like pepperoni, sausages, chicken? No. Alright, let's get out of here. Oh my god. Okay, we're gonna run one more with Urara. And then we should be good. Alright. When can I open another team? Alright, let's get out of here. Home. Why my game acting slow? So it's pineapple, mushroom, spicy sausages, bacon, jalapeno, no sauce, extra cheese, no sauce. No sauce. That's interesting. Jalapenos, no sauce. All right, we got this. 11 out of 35, bro. Place top 3 in the Japanese derby in career. Wait, but who does Japanese derby? With who? With who though? I feel like I've done this though. Place top 3 in Victoria Mall in career. Damaran. Alright, oh, we gotta do 5,000 with gold ship. And then 5,000 with Urara. Okay, let me see. Let's complete... complete all day 2. Let's place top... Okay, so we're gonna do gold ship. I thought I was gonna do Urara, but we're gonna do Gold Ship. We're gonna do Gold Ship. We're gonna do Gold Ship, and we're gonna try to get Victoria. We need to place top 3 and Japanese Derby. Somebody write this down. Hers is pretty easy. Okay, then I'll just run that last. I gotta learn Gold Ship if I want to get higher up. Oh damn, did I just drop my thing? All right, let's do it. So we need to get Japanese Derby and Victoria Mile top 3. All right. And we're gonna go attempt that with Gold Ship. Let's run a new character. Gold Ship. She's good in turf. She's good in medium and long. Okay. And she's an end pacer. Okay. Auto select. Next. Auto select. Next. All right, we're starting our career. Wait, who's the career for day 2? I already did it. It was vodka. It was vodka. So day 3 is Gold Ship. Day 4 is oh. Oh my god. All right, vodka's gonna have all the races for day 2. So does that mean I have to do all the races for day 2 with vodka? Oh, is that how it works? You have to do all the quests in day 2 with that character? Yo, she's got an accent. It'll be easier that way, yeah? Hold on, let me see. So details. Where's the races information? I got one fan, bro. Who's my fan? Me? Okay, hold on. Wait, let me go home. Save and exit. Oh, if that's the case, so then what I'll do is I'll just focus on day 3 while I'm with. All right, let's do special. Day 3. So we have the place top 3 in the Satsuki. Satsuki and then the Tenno. Top 3. And then trigger friendship training 10 times in career. Okay. Friendship? Oh, I think I know. Just like the friendship shit, right? Okay. So Satsuki show and Tenno top 3. All right, let's go. Let's go. Oh, sorry. Career. Resume. Okay, what's the best stuff for her? What's the best stuff for her? It seems like stamina and power. Power, speed, stamina. Okay. Alright, we'll run power. So I'll do it in that order. Power. Mom, you know what you're gonna do sometimes? Wait, what do I gotta do? What do I gotta do, Kingsley? Tell me. I do power, stamina, speed in that order. Okay, bet. Power, stamina. Alright, wait, but this... It's not glowing rainbow, so I'll just do this one. Power, stamina, speed. Alright, I'll just run that. Speed. Alright, you gotta take a nap and try again tomorrow. Oh my god, Kingsley. No! I refuses to try again tomorrow. Money. Alright, let's do power. Okay, power, and then we're gonna rest. Okay. New training. Nice. You about to see how Ghost Ship is a troll? Ain't no way. Ain't no way. She seems like it, I'm not gonna lie. Alright, we're gonna do some stamina and then we're gonna do some speed. I think speed you can do without failing. Like, I'm crashing out? No way. Why? I lost my last race in my career, bro. You're trolling. You're fucking trolling. Should I try here? Place second is crazy. Should I try running this? Nah, because I'm gonna have to rest anyway, so I might as well just rest. I did the race 3 times. No. As crazy as that pizza was, I would order it again. You know what? Order it again. Be happy. Listen, if you can't be in the world and you can't be happy, then what's the point, you know? Is this kind of hard to get first? Yeah, it's tough. It's tough out here because we don't have the high tier cards. We're running with low tier cards, bro. And if you mess up in her training, in training the girl, then it's over. I'm just gonna run it. I'm gonna try. And she succeeded. Let's go. Okay, so she's an end runner. Wow, yeah, no, it's tough. It's tough. She's an end runner. End closer, slightly widened field of vision. All right, we'll just run this. I can see right through you. I can see right through you. All right, I need you to do great on this, okay? Like, bro, nah, I would have thrown. Be fucking for real. I would have like absolutely flipped my shit. Okay, so she's an end runner, so let's see how she does. Sorry, bros, I'm just hydrating. This is my first time seeing Gold Chip, so I'm gonna watch her run.
各馬娘揃って綺麗なスタートを切りました。
これは位置取りが熾烈になりそうですね。
期待通りの結果を出せるか。1番人気ゴールドシップ、8番会長に飛ばして行きます。さあ花に立ったのは8番。このままリードすることができるか。先頭から大きく離されて2番手は7番。
Wow, that girl in the front is running so fucking fast.
先頭は8番単身で飛ばして行きます。2番手の
3 times second is crazy. You were doomed for failure. Who did you run it with? Wait, who did you run it with? Is it your SSR? Is it your 3-star?
ゴールドシップ果たしてどうでしょうか。
Shizuka? No way, bro. No way, bro. Yeah, damn. Wait, was Shizuka your 3-star? Was Shizuka your 3-star?
続きました7番その後3、4馬身開いて4番
Wait,
さらに
what was
9番
that?
差がなく5番外には3番内からゴールドシップ1馬身離れて1番6番並びかけてきた
What was
勢い
that?
よ
What
と
was
先頭を
that?
行きます8番どうでしょうこの展
She's
開
literally
い
trolling.
かもしれません。一息つけるといいですが。
現在1番手は8番さあ先頭に立ちました7番3番手に4番第4コーナーを進んで直線へ向かう
Let her cook? Alright, I'm letting her cook. I'm letting her cook.
最後の局面です。
さあ優直線だこのタイミングで誰が仕掛けるのか残り40分まだ1馬身以上の差があるぞここから捉えることができるのかゴールドシップ行きました一気に上がってくるゴールドシップ残り200 7番苦しいけど粘っているゴールドシップ並びかけてきた7番ここまでか熾烈なデッドヒートゴールドシップ差し切ってゴール鮮やかに差し切ったのはゴールドシップ2着7番3着に入ったのは9番
Imagine you thought you won the race and then somebody randomly came from the back of the line. The back of the line, mind you, and beat you. I thought Elegant General was gonna win. I truly thought. What the fuck? Oh my god. Isn't there an anime of this? Yes! I'm thinking of running a subscription stream. Where subscribers can sit and watch it with me. I had level 4 speed too, and she scaled the fuck out of speed. God damn. My dream come true. No. Okay, let's see. What do we need? Satsuki and Tenno? She did very good. Alright, let's rest her immediately. Where do I see the upcoming races, bro? Ooh, career. Okay, let's see. No, that's not what I need. Oh, I gotta wait. And there we go. What do I see upcoming races? Second 3 times in a row is kind of nuts. All right, we're going for power, stamina, speed. Power, stamina, speed. Say I love you. You do? Not in the way that you want me to. Yeah, she needs a lot of rest. I fell in love with you. Ooh, I wish I... Where's the... Ooh, okay. Top 3. And then 10-0. Oh. Oh, shit. They want me to go late. Oh. Alright, let's try to run this. Okay, we need top 3 here. And here, okay? Top 3 here and here. Top 3, boys. Top 3. This is interesting. Wish me good luck. Should I get some fruit? I feel like I want some fruit. Damn. This is gonna be my last run, though. This is gonna be my last run. This is gonna be my last career for the night. We could do some more tomorrow. Alright, we're gonna do some power. Yeah, she's gonna fail that. Oh, money! Yeah, I know Vax is crashing the fuck out. Alright, let's do this one. Race! Fuck. I need 100 fans, bro. I am crashing the fuck out. Oh my god, she's not in a good mood. This is bad. This is not good. This is not good at all. This is not good at all. Why the hell is she in a bad mood? Oh my god. I'm skipping the race. 15? Recreation. Oh my god. They forced me to take on an extra race. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. No. This is what we're gonna do. We're gonna let her rest. There we go. Okay, okay. And then we're just gonna rest. 82 fans to go. Oh my god, bro. Isn't there like an easier one? Oh my god. Okay, she's good. She's good in the mood, but she's low. Low energy, so I think it's fine. It's okay, mom, you got this. Thank you. I'm gonna try Spei-chan. Oh, who's that? Special week? Are you talking about special week? Special week? Oh, wait, do they call her Spei-chan? Wait, that's cute. Alright. 4th is not bad. Okay, good enough. It's not a race that we needed, so. She needs more power, that's fine, but you guys are wasting my time when I could be giving her power. Why does she not have any, you know? Oh my gosh, she's got no energy. Oh my gosh, she's got no energy. She's an end runner? I'm just gonna wait. Okay, so is this one of the... No, okay, so she just needs to place 3rd in this one. Place 3rd in this one. And place 3rd in this one. Oh, this is... This is gonna be fucking tough, bro! Oh my god. I need something. I need a drink. I'm not gonna lie. I need a drink. I need a drink. Hey, let's go. We're just gonna skip through and we're gonna see the ending. Hopefully she's at a good place. Okay, she's third right now. Racing and she's first. There it is, 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 more! Beautiful. Beautiful queen. What the fuck? She just drop kicked the camera. She just drop kicked the fucking. She just drop kicked the camera. Hi, 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 hi. Oh, hi. Da da da. Da da da. Oh my god, she's so cute. Oh my god, is this a new song? I don't think I've seen this song. I don't think I've seen this song. Wait, unless this is Gold Brilliance. What? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, they shake their butt. Oh my god, they're so fucking cute. This is so cute. She's putting off hanging out with me to watch horses sing. I told you when I could do it. Oh my god. What? Oh, endless dream. I'm second fiddle to horse idols. I'm weak. No, you're not. No, 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 no. Oh. Yay! That was so cute. W, she got first place. Endless Dream. Oh, I don't think I played this song. I think that's literally actually a new song for me. Endless Dream. All right, boys, we made it to bronze. Okay. Congratulations. We gotta keep this shit up. I'm doing the same shit. It's crazy. I'm so dead. You know what I want to listen to now? I'm gonna put Gabriella. Okay. Place top 5 in hopeful. Okay. It is time for Satsuki, boys. We need to place top 3. All right, so we're aiming for the top. Unless this was race right after. We have 6. Okay, we have 6 turns. We have 6 turns. Oh my gosh, she's literally tired. Wait, what day is it? Oh, it's early January. Okay. All right, she's resting. Only, that's what I fucking hate, bro. Only 30% energy. Like, are you doing this to piss me the hell off? Now she has to rest for another day. Not that I'm second fiddle to horse idol. Listen, it's not me. It's not by choice. Who told me to be addicted? Yes. Huh? Alright, I think we're gonna go for stamina here. Oh my god. Is she like always tired? Is she always tired? Nah, you wanted to play first. Nah. And maybe down. Nah. The first. No. It first started with no. No. That's incorrect. Because we were talking about playing Etheria. And then he randomly brought up Umamusume because he was watching somebody play it. And then we were like, okay, why don't we try it? And then that's how we got here. And now we're actually addicted to this. And it is a peak game, so, you know. Okay, so what should I choose? Is it a cloudy day? No, it's a good day. 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 What should we get? We got Uma stand, pressure, extra tank, up tempo. I think I'm gonna go for extra tank. I'll probably go for extra tank. I need something. Uma stand is pretty good. One close to main rise. Okay. Okay, we went for Uma stand. Alright, we got this, baby girl. Top 3. Top 3. Back off of my fella. Gabriella, back off of my la la la. Cause ooh, you can have anyone else you wanted to. I'm begging you. Hands off, Gabriella. Gabriella, hands off, Gabriella, la la. La 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 la. She's in 7th place, but she's making her way. Top 3, top 3, top 3, top 3, top 3, top 3. You just need to get 3rd place. I prefer 1st place, but if you get 3rd place, that'd be great. 1st place, 1st place, 1st place. So I don't gotta worry about this one. Yes! And there it is, boys. Ah! Yo, they did such a good job with that animation. I really feel like I'm getting jump kicked. I'm not gonna look. What the fuck? I actually think I'm getting jump kicked. Oh shit! Winning the soul. Ooh. Oh shit. Yeah, yeah. Whoa! Oh my god, my finger's not doing that, bro. This does feel like something Burnus would sing, bro. Yo, when is Burnus making Yeah! 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 What? Oh my god! Ooh. I'm covering the song. Holy! They cooked with this one. Oh shit! They cooked with this one. They absolutely cooked with this one. Oh shit! Absolutely banger, absolute banger. And we got, okay, so that's Satsuki. Now we got Tenno. We need to get top 3. All right, Tano's in 2. I think in 2 races. All right. Oh, okay. Let's see what we got. All right. Yep, we got the Tano in spring. So we got this race. All right, let's do it. Only wins in this house. Money, money. Shut up and go to sleep. Hands off, Gabriella. Gabriella, hands off, Gabriella, la la. La 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 la. Alright, let's do some power. Ooh, I think I should focus on speed. I think I'm gonna go for speed. I think the next run, what I'm gonna do a little bit, like, so every once in a while I'll do stamina. Or maybe I'll do speed. I'll do a little bit of speed. But definitely, I think it's power and stamina. I don't know, bro. Okay. Anyways, let's go. Let's rest up a little bit. And the fastest way to clear mission is to run Spay-chan? No way. I don't even have Spay-chan, bro. I don't even have Spay-chan. Yellow back off heavy. A lot of her races in the missions. Oh, truly? Thank you for the head switch. I appreciate you. Let's do stamina. Alright, she's not feeling this. I forgot it's classic, bro. Bro, I forgot it's classic. Thank you for the hydrate. Thank you for the check-in fish. Boys, I'm out of water. Boys, I'm out of water. I'm out of water. I think I'm gonna go get me a little snack. I think I'm gonna go get me a little snack. Alright, we're gonna do speed. Did she not just rest? Why is she still tired? Yeah, I'm out of water. Oh, no. My last sip was what you just gave me. My last sip was what you just gave me. Money. Alright, rest. We're gonna do power, and then we're gonna do speed. I think I'm gonna put some speed in there. Because we got a guarantee. Okay, we're guaranteeing. Oh, damn. They want me to do... Alright, I will do stamina. Alright, stamina. Let's hope this is the way to victory. I see you, and I see you. Alright, guys. I'm gonna leave the race in your hands. I'm gonna go get me a snack. Alright, I'm gonna leave the race in your hands. Oh, Maria. Alright, slightly increased velocity when passing another runner late race. Ooh. Oh, let me see her stats. She's good long. I think acceleration is power. Okay, bet. So I think I might just get that one I was reading. Pressure. I might get pressure. What do we think? We got corner depth. I think I'm gonna get high depth the kid. I think I'm gonna get pressure. What do we think? Na. Alright, I'm just gonna get it. Pressure. Yeah, Maria. Alright, I'm gonna leave the race in your hands, okay, guys? While I go get my snack, okay? I'm leaving the race in your hands. She needs... She just needs to win. She just needs to win, okay? Is this race another race, and then we gotta win top 3 in Tenno, okay? So I'm leaving the race in your hands, alright? Tell me how it goes, and I will be back.
みんな集中してましたね。好レースが期待できそうです。
先行争いはセイウンスカイ6番マヤのトップガン期待通りの結果を出せるか。1番人気成田ブライアンセイウンスカイ快調に飛ばしていきます。先頭はセイウンスカイ単身で飛ばしていきます。続きましたマヤのトップガンとセイウンスカイ2人とも花は譲りません。
ハイペースで流れる展開もありえますね。
先頭がやや早いのか隊列は縦長になっています。
後方の馬娘が差し返せるのか気になる開きです。
第4コーナーを進んで直線へ向かう。現在1番手はマヤのトップガン、続いてセイウンスカイ、3番手に6番大きく離れて成田ブライアン、1馬審査岩早秀、そして外目をつきましては16番1周目の直線、スタンドの大歓声に迎えられながら馬娘たちが走り抜ける。さらに3番少し後ろから待ちかね福来たる1馬身離れてスペシャルウィーク、そして4番外を通りまして9番、あとは2番10 11番外から行く少し離れてゴールドシップそれを見るようにメジロライアンさらには5番後方2番手に13番ポツンと1人14番意気揚々と先頭を行きます。セイウンスカイどうでしょうこの展開。
ちょっとかかり気味かもしれないです。一息つけるといいですが。
1コーナーからそして2コーナーへ向かっていきます。順位を振り返っていきます。セイウンスカイ先頭を進みますがこれは正解でしょうか。
セイウンスカイ彼女の客室には合っていますね。
先頭は依然セイウンスカイ1馬身リード。2周目の向こう上面各馬娘たちの動きが激しくなっています。先頭は変わらずセイウンスカイ後ろマヤのトップガンその後6番その後ろ成田ブライアン内をついて岩早秀後から松金福来たるそしてその後方には16番外スペシャルウィーク3番並んできた外には4番残り 1000m を通過そしてその外から行ったのはゴールドシップ内メジロライアン9番続いているその後ろから2番その後ろに5番そしてその後ろから行くのは13番成田ブライアンここにいます。セイウンスカイ追走外から松金福来たるスペシャルウィーク並んでくる間もなく第4コーナーカーブ
内から来るか外から来るか最後の局面です。
スペシャルウィークここで抜け出したこの直線で勝負が決まるとゴールドシップ前を狙っていると成田ブライアン外で足を溜めています。栄光まで400最後のコーナー最初に立ち上がったのはスペシャルウィークメジロライアン食い下がるスペシャルウィーク速いもはや独走状態200を通過スペシャルウィークリードは2馬身先頭は変わらずスペシャルウィーク3番手争いはセイウンスカイ今早秀スペシャルウィーク足色は衰えないお見事スペシャルウィーク100歳以上の強さを見せた見事な勝利です。勝ったのはスペシャルウィーク菊の舞台で見事勝利をつかんだ。2着にはメジロライアン3着は岩早秀逆にすげえってことで
Damn, bros. I left her with you and you let her fail. Did she not even get top 5? What the fuck? Where did she place? 9th? Holy fuck! What's wrong with her? Oops. Sorry, my wire is like stuck. Okay, there we go. What the fuck is wrong with her? Okay, we're good. Nope, we lost. Don't worry. We're winning though. We need to win.
8番人気3番
We need to
ゴー
win.
ルドシップ
ちょっと厳しいメンバーですが
We need to win. I got a bowl of fruits. I got watermelon, mango, and cherry.
クラシックロード
We lost.
さあゲートが開いた各
And I feel my
馬娘
water.
間もなく第4コーナーカーブ
ウマ娘たちがどう動くか
Oh,
目が離せ
he's
ませ
not
ん。
gonna
こ
go
の
well.
直線で勝負が決まるぞ。まだ差がある。ここから先頭を捉える子は出てくるのか。400を切りました。最終コーナー最初に立ち上がったのはビワ早秀メジロ
Please, for the love of
ライアン
God.
食らいついていく余裕の走りだ。2番手との差は縮まらずこれは圧勝ムード。残り200ビワ早秀これは決まったか。後ろは大きく離れたぞ。3番手争いはマヤのトップがゴールドシップビワ早秀これは完璧な勝利です。
Alright, third. There we go. Better. Uh-oh is
あ
right.
とちょっとだな。
It's because of weather. She lacked the guts. Okay, I'll give her 1 gut. Okay, we passed. Barely. We barely passed, bro. We're gonna rest for 1 day, train for 2. Thank you for that hat pass, Fitch. I appreciate you. I had one of the most scuffed career ever. No way. Things play. Alright, we got guts. We got guts. I went for speed. Guys, this is it. More power? They said we needed. They said she lacked the guts to do anything. I'm not even gonna look. Guys, I'm not even gonna look, bro. Like, I'm just not gonna look. Okay, I need you to tell me if she wins or not. I'm eating my fruit. I'm not looking. Good night, Yuri. I love you. I hope you have a good sleep. The game hasn't started yet. Okay, now you can tell me if she loses or not.
みんな集中してましたね。好レースが期待できそうです。
先行争いは3番メジロライアン、ダイワスターレット。期待通りの結果を出せるか。1番人気エイシンフラッシュ。まもなく第4コーナーカーブ。3番快調に飛ばしていきます。先頭は3番単身で飛ばしていきます。先頭から大きく離されて2番手はメジロライアン、外からダイワスターレット。内にはシンボリルドルフ。大きく離れて1番外目をついてエイシンフラッシュ。1個目のホームストレッチです。6番並んでくる。少し離れてグラスワンダー。それを見るように5番外には8番、その外並んで13番ウォッカ。並びかけてきた。外でゴールドシップ。外15番後方2番手に岸アマゾン。16番現在シンガリだ。3番先頭をキープ。これは面白い展開だ。このまま進みますか。
これは大胆な作戦。波乱の展開になりそうです。
第1コーナーは第2コーナー。
Don't worry. Right now, she's a late starter, so she usually stays at the back of the line. So she chooses to race like that. That's her preference. Yeah. Yeah, some of the people here are late starters. Oh shoot.
さらに内5番さらに外からグラスワンダー。内を回ります。15番向こう上面に入って先頭からしんがりまでおよそ10馬身。そしてここで先頭はダイワスターレット。続いて3番残り 1000m を通過。2馬身離れてメジロライアン、エイシンフラッシュ。ここにいます。5番
I'm locked in. I'm locked in.
差がなく13番その後から1番。あとはゴールドシップ。内の方から6番さらにウォッカ。
We gotta win this.
続いている。そしてその外を回ってグラスワンダー。8番追走。内から5番。そしてその後方には16番15番最高コーナーという体勢であります。第4コーナーを進んで直線へ向かう。
She's gliding up.
スパート。一気にレースが動きます。
勝負は最後の直線。
One by one, gold ship is going up.
最初に立ち上がったのはダイワスターレット。まだ
It's the ending spurt.
ここから捉えることができるのか。外からゴールドシップ。驚異的な末脚。残り200。
Vodka is throwing. Okay, we just need top 3. Top 3 gold ship. Top 3 gold ship. Top 3 gold ship. Oh.
実力をいかなく発揮しレースを制した夢のグランプリを制したのはエイシンフラッシュ。年末最後の大一番を制し栄光のセンターの座を手に入れた。2着は
That late starter nonsense is crazy.
かもなくかもねえな。
5th place? Is this good enough or did we just lose? Oh my fucking god, bro. We get 2 more tries. That's literally how she races, though.
厳しいメンバーですが、健闘を期待したいですね。
If she loses this, we're quitting. We're ending the career. If she loses this, we're ending the career. I just can't. I I got a bowl of fruit. I got cherries. Mango and watermelon. Okay, she's in fourth. I'm sorry guys, I skipped through the race. Okay. 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 Much better. I thought we were fucked there, I'm not gonna lie. Okay. We held on by a string, bro. By a string. Okay, this is the one that we need. We need top 3. Thank God. I'm gonna raise up her speed. I'm raising her speed and her power. And I'm gonna do one gut. Fuck that, she's trolling with that mindset. Nah, bro, I wish. I wish, I don't know what she's thinking. Cause what you guys gotta see, you guys didn't see it, but basically what she does, she races. Why is her condition low? This is fucked. We're fucked. I'm just gonna go for it. This is the race we need. No point sending in her with a bad mood, bro. Okay, her mood's better. This is not gonna go well. This is not gonna go well. Because she hates training like the horse she's based on. That's unfortunate, bro. That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate. This is bad. This is bad. Is it long? Okay, wish me good luck, guys. Fuck. She needs to place top 3, and I already used one of my clocks. This is unfortunate. This is unfortunate. She needs to place top 3.
これは位置取りが熾烈になりそうですね。
Guys, I'm scared. I'm skipping to the end.
内から来るか外
She's
から
in
来る
9th
か
place.
最後の局面です。
You can try one more time. Rutro is in D correct.
5番ゴールドシップ。
ちょっと厳しいメンバーですね。
Rutro. This is our last chance, boys. She's 12th place. It's over.
内から来るか外から来るか最後の局面です。
Can she make it to the end, please? Please. It's over. Bro. Fuck. Well, that was my first run with her, so that was my first. Yeah, goddamn. Oh, excuse me. Why was that so fucking tough, bro? Like, I don't get it. Oh my god. Like, I was fighting for my life for that. It was so hard. Whatever. Alright, let's get out of here. Oh, finally. I need to switch games. Edit team short. Alright, there you go. Yeah. Hold on one second. Oh my god, bro. Oh my god, bro. Okay, let's see what we got from all of that stress and pain. Stress and pain. Alright, we got any titles? Okay, let's see. Alright, I just need to do this one. Trigger friendship training 10 times your career. Did I not do that? I feel like friendship. Oh, friendship training. Oh. Oh. Let me collect those. And then story event. Alright, boys, we switching games. We switching games. Oh, I need a breather. Alright, I'm gonna do a little bit of story. And then I'm all yours, Yellow. Alright, let's open up some ZZZ. Come with me, bros.